What is up, guys? I hope y'all are having a fantastic day. Welcome back to another video, and we have a lot of piggy stuff to cover. So, it's visual rebrand update released yesterday at 4:30 p.m. EST, and holy cow, there is some epic stuff in here. Like they really did a good job rebranding the game, changing the skins, kind of making piggy um, you know, it gave Piggy its own 2025 look. And honestly, all the stuff in this update, for the most part, is amazing. Like, congrats to, the people who helped make this update. Because honestly, this is probably one of the best Piggy updates, despite the fact that it's not a new chapter or a new season or anything like that. Like the fact, like artistically, like everything looks awesome, and I feel like it fits the game like perfectly. So, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm gonna have fun covering this. I'll give my thoughts on every piece of the update. And here we go. So, the first thing is Piggy has a new icon and thumbnail. Holy freaking cow. Like, just look at this. Like, I voted good on this. Like, about 90% of the Piggy community thinks that this is a good thumbnail. And honestly, I think it's more than good. It looks freaking amazing. Like, just look at that. Like, just look at that. You have Zizzy, Pony, Georgie, and then you got Piggy, or you got Mr. P right there with his creepy red eye. And this being the main icon and thumbnail, like, it just looks awesome. It looks freaking awesome. And this is such an improvement from the thumbnail we had before. Like, don't get me wrong, this thumbnail is good. But in like a few years, it'll eventually get stale. This one, I feel like, would last a while. This feels like one of those, like, Piggy, with this thumbnail, it makes Piggy feel like one of those like console games you'd get at GameStop. And the fact that, they were able to create this, and look at the colors too, like the vibrant colors that they have. Like there's a lot of color variation in this. Sure, this one kind of does too, but not as much. Like this one, the colors pop out a little more, especially like the Mr. P eye that looks amazing. Like in this, you don't really have any colors that necessarily pop out. Sure, you have the eyes, but they don't really pop out in the house map as much as they do in this. Like, and I suppose what's nice too about this thumbnail is that actually I think it's the plant map. Never mind, it does show a piggy map in here. It shows the plant map, but still though, like it just looks freaking awesome. Like I feel like this is the type of, like I said before, this is like the type of thumbnail I think you would see when you're like purchasing a console game, and it just looks awesome. It looks freaking awesome. They did an awesome job on this. Excellent job, actually. This is probably one of the best parts of the update as well, if not the best part. But then we have the brand new UI and the new piggy voting UI. So we have the map and we have the piggies. Now, going into the game modes here, we have bot. Holy cow. I really like how they picked the Robbie skin, because of course, Robbie himself is a bot. So it makes sense to have him for the bot game mode. And the blue background, it just looks great. And then you have player, with Penny Pig. So they kept Penny Pig, that's fine, it makes sense for it to be red. And then you have player and bot. And I like how they kept the consistency with the skins. I forget what it looked like before. I think it was Penny and Georgie and it was like green. But I like the purple because it's a mix of the red and blue. So that looks great. It looks amazing. And then we have infection down here. I like how it's a little crammed. Um, you know, I like how it's crammed a little bit. I like how they kept kind of like the undead theme here. Um, you know, like I do like that. It makes sense. In the context of the game mode. Well, it makes sense in the context of the game mode that they're all scrunched. Because it's like they're infecting each other. It's like contagious. So to me, that kind of symbolizes that. And, I just like this icon as a whole. It looks awesome. And then you have Swarm, you got a few of the different skins, and honestly, I don't mind that they kept the purple. I mean, maybe they could have changed, like, I feel like there isn't really anything that, I don't really know what color other than purple would suit this. Um, and I honestly think that the purple it looks great for Swarm before, but it also looks great for Swarm now. And, I like the different variety of piggies here, because Swarm, of course, it's always had that piggy variety to it. So that's nice. And then you have the tag game mode. I honestly like this new tag game mode icon. You got the crawl traps, you got the orange background, the orange yellowish background. It looks way better than the tag mode did before. Because yellow was a little, because yellow, of course, for the tag game mode before, I mean, it was fine, but it was kind of like a little bit of an icky standout. But with this new design, like, it looks great, it looks awesome. And the fact that you have multiple crawl traps here, like, it kind of, it gives players more of like a perspective of what the game mode actually is. Because there was only one crawl trap on there before. And it was like, are you gonna have one crawl trap breed the tagger? Are the crawl traps the players? Now people know the crawl traps are, the things that are mainly prevalent. And, of course you still have one player that you have to tag, but still though, I like this icon. And then you have the trader game mode icon. So you do have that as well. And this is the trader mode icon right here. And I love this. This trader icon looks awesome. You have the shadows here, like you have the police guy here, looking kind of sus and suspicious. And I like how they kind of went with that like imposter red color, similar to like Among Us. And you have the trader with the knife. If that's what the knife looks like now in Piggy, like that would be awesome. You just have that orange like flame right there, like it just looks so amazing. And the blue, it contrasts well with the red. This guy was saying clean design. It is a very, very clean design. Like it looks spectacular. It looks awesome. And they also listen to community feedback too, because I know they were talking about bringing a police guy. I think it was with the main menu though. I'm not sure, or no, it wasn't with the main menu. It was with the one of the PFP designs. Instead of a bacon hair, add in the police guy. And even though they didn't add it in there, they put the police guy in trader mode, so it's good that they're listening to community feedback and all that. And now we have the skin redesigns. So they redesigned Little Brother. Looking pretty good. They got the white eye and everything. And pretty much what they did is they kind of scaled him down to what he looks like in the cutscenes instead of, having the tall blue almost like default piggy look. And yeah, it looks great. And then you also have the father pig. They redesigned him too as well. He looks great in the dark green and everything. I don't know if he's smaller or not. He looks smaller, although I could be wrong about that. But yeah, they pretty much updated the bodies. They pretty much just kind of updated, Georgie and Father Pig, I guess, to like the modern, or I guess to the present day ways they have him, I guess. Um, And then this person asked, are they going to redesign all the long dress characters? And then Piggy News said that that's unknown for now. So I wonder if we will get another rebrand update in the future. I mean, it's definitely possible. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Or if they didn't. But if we got another update, that'd be cool. There's actually something about that later in the video that I'll also show you guys. That could hint at another potential visual rebrand update. And then we also have a fun fact here. The father's also been redesigned in the gallery, so as you guys can see, he does look a little smaller. So I mean, this redesign is okay, I guess. I kind of wish they made him a little bigger. Like as you guys can see, like I mean, the father just looks smaller than the other ones. Um, this person said this feels so wrong. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, the father just looks smaller. Like I kind of wish that they made his skin a little bigger. If they did that, I think that would be better, but that's okay. And then we have this. This honestly is probably the most disappointing thing of this update is the fact that they replaced Little Brother with Mother Pig. Like, I don't know necessarily why they did that. I think it looked better with Little Brother there, especially if they like used the redesign. So I don't think this was necessarily the best decision, only because you can like barely see them anyways. Like maybe if they lit up Mother Pig's eyes like purple, I feel like if they did that, it would look much, much better. So this is really the only caveat I think of this update. And like I just wish Little Brother was still there. But yeah, that's really the only disappointing thing I think of this update is that little bit. And maybe Father Pig's the scale that they put the father skin, but really other than that stuff, like not bad at all. Like the update stuff is amazing. And then we also have the book one ending credits being updated. So other than Minitune, you have Optic and Epic Tank. You have the badge art by Denko. So that's awesome. Um, and then we also have a work in progress for the we were what? So this is also a photo of the reworked Piggy tokens and Game Pass shop, which wasn't ready for today. So this pretty much hints at more of more visual rebrands and future updates. So maybe they'll change Father Pig to make him a little bigger. There's a chance that maybe they'll revamp some more of the skins. Like, I feel like the two options are either make Father Piggy bigger, or maybe scale down like Mother Pig, just to kind of make it, just to kind of have them like match and be parallel a little more. Or more. I don't know. I guess because the scale just looks a little out of proportion. I mean, maybe it's just the angle that maybe it's just the angle of the cutscene. Like maybe they are the same size, but maybe Father Pig just looks smaller for some reason. Um, but yeah, so pretty much this hints at a future update for the visual rebrand. Here's a little more of like a zoom in of everything. But yeah, so this is the new Piggy tokens area. It looks smaller, which is nice. I don't know. Of course, we don't know what the Game Pass bit looks like, but I'm sure that'll look good as well. And I do like the red that they're going with. It looks nice. The little red and pink combo. And then we also had this, and I wanted to discuss this a little bit. So Carnival redesign. Minitune revisits the idea of making the Carnival map more difficult by revamping it. What do you think? So, I honestly think that they should revamp it. Let me tell y'all why. Carnival is the most voted Piggy map. It is the most frustrating Piggy map as well, especially for Piggy. It's the hardest map for Piggy, because the players can just run around so easily. But the thing about Carnival that is kind of worrisome, especially for players that have played for years and years on end, is that if it's not redesigned, and this kind of goes with every map, but especially for Carnival because it's the easiest and it's the most voted, like eventually the Carnival map just gets redundant. And, I feel like that redundancy has been a thing for like years and years on end. And, sure, it's an easy way to grind coins. Sure, it's, a map that you can easily escape, especially for beginners. It's nice for beginners, for the Carnival map to be easy. But eventually, when you become so skilled at the game, like, it eventually just becomes redundant. Like, collecting all the items and it's just an especially annoying map for Piggy. Like, it's so unfair for the Piggy. Like, the Piggy can't even get anyone, really. And, I think them revamping it is honestly a good idea. Like, maybe add some more red and white. Like, I honestly wouldn't mind this being revamped just to be a little harder and a little easier for Piggy. Like, I feel like the Piggy side of things is what kind of makes that I think that's why this map needs to be rebranded, not necessarily on the player side. Like, you can still make it the easiest map, I think, but you can make it maybe a little I think you can maybe make it a little easier than with Piggy, maybe by like changing some of those like square areas where players can just play Ring Around the Rosie and maybe making it like a little harder. Like maybe the way that you can make it harder is having like a little like what's it called, like cage maze, or perhaps something like that. Like maybe you can like connect the cages and you have to actually like jump in order to escape. I think that'd be a cool little aspect. Like about how you have the two like carnival cage. You guys know about how there's that carnival cage section with Foxy? I think what you could do is maybe you can connect them together and then have like a platform you have to like actually like jump to, where you have to like kind of jump up to like the second cart. I think that would be really cool. So there's just I feel like little tweaks here and there will be fine. Like I don't think it necessarily is to be the hardest map, but I feel like just making it a little harder would make the map itself a little more fun and a little less redundant. And I think it would make the beginners more skilled as a whole too. So maybe changing it from like easy difficulty to like medium difficulty would be good. But yeah, guys. And I suppose you could do the same too with the gallery, but you need one easy map in there. So and gallery, I'd say is fair for both the piggy and the players. Um, Actually, it's a little hard for the players. Actually, gallery is a little hard for the players because it's small, but it's still an easy enough map because it is so small, where all the doors are kind of close. So yeah, but yeah, guys. Thank you all for watching. If y'all haven't yet, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. About 55% of you guys are not subscribed. So I recommend subscribing. So that way, you could turn on that notification bell and, stay notified of any brand new videos. I definitely recommend that. It helps support the channel. And, yeah, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out. Woo!